Your blood sugar can spike after a meal that looks perfectly healthy. Oats, fruit, brown rice, smoothies, even a clean-looking bowl can still hit your bloodstream like a rush-hour crowd. The problem is not that healthy food is fake. The problem is that your body does not process healthy as one category. It processes speed, load, structure, timing, and insulin. Think of your metabolism like a crowded train station. Glucose is the crowd. Insulin is the gate signal. Your muscles, liver, and fat tissue are the platforms where that crowd is supposed to go. A smooth meal sends passengers in slowly, gates open, platforms absorb the traffic, and the station stays calm. A blood sugar spike happens when too many passengers arrive too fast, or when the gates do not open quickly enough. That is why you can eat healthy and still get a glucose surge. Mechanism 1. Healthy does not mean slow. This is the first trap. Most people judge food by its reputation. Fruit is healthy. Oats are healthy. Rice can be healthy. Whole grain bread sounds healthy. But your bloodstream does not read labels. It responds to how quickly carbohydrates break down into glucose. The CDC makes this distinction clearly. Carbohydrates can be part of a healthy diet, but the type, portion, fiber, and what you eat them with all change the blood sugar response. That means a food can be nutritious and still deliver glucose quickly. In our train station, this is the difference between passengers walking in through several doors and a stadium crowd pouring through one entrance. Both crowds may be normal, but the delivery speed changes everything. This is why a smoothie can spike you more than whole fruit. The fruit itself may contain vitamins, minerals, and plant compounds. But when you blend or juice it, you damage the structure that normally slows digestion. Chewing disappears. The fiber network is disrupted. The stomach empties faster. The glucose crowd arrives with fewer speed bumps. The food did not become poison. It became faster. Mechanism 2. The missing fiber matrix. Fiber is not just good for digestion. In blood sugar terms, fiber is traffic control. It slows how quickly food leaves the stomach. It changes how fast enzymes can reach starch and sugar. It helps turn a rush into a controlled flow. When grains are refined, the outer fiber-rich structure is removed. When fruit becomes juice, much of the intact structure is lost. When a bowl is built around a large base of starch with only a small sprinkle of vegetables, the meal may look clean, but the station is still receiving a flood. This is the hidden difference between a whole food meal and a processed healthy meal. The label may say natural. Your pancreas sees traffic. Your pancreas responds by releasing insulin. Insulin tells cells to pull glucose out of the bloodstream. When the glucose arrives slowly, insulin has time to coordinate the gates. When it arrives too quickly, glucose rises before the system can clear it. That rise is the spike. Mechanism 3. Portion size can turn healthy carbs into a wave. This is where people get confused. They hear that a food is healthy, so they assume the amount does not matter. But blood sugar is partly a math problem. A small bowl of rice and a huge bowl of rice are not the same biological event. A few berries and a giant fruit smoothie are not the same delivery. The body does not only ask, "What food is this?" It asks, "How much glucose is coming?" Glycemic load is the idea that both carbohydrate quality and carbohydrate quantity matter. You can think of it as crowd size. A slow-moving crowd can still overwhelm the station if the crowd is enormous. This does not mean you should fear carbohydrates. That is the wrong lesson. It means carbohydrates need context. They behave differently when they are eaten with protein, fat, and fiber. A bowl of plain starch is one signal. The same starch beside eggs, fish, beans, olive oil, vegetables, or nuts becomes a different traffic pattern. You are not just choosing foods. You are designing the flow. Mechanism 4. Insulin resistance changes the gate. Now we get to the mechanism that explains why two people can eat the same meal and get completely different blood sugar responses. The NIDDK describes insulin resistance as a state where muscle, fat, and liver cells do not respond well to insulin. In our train station, insulin is still sending the gate signal, but the gates are slow, jammed, or only partly opening. So glucose stays in the bloodstream longer. This is why someone with insulin resistance can spike from a meal that seems reasonable. The problem is not only the meal. It is the receiver. Your muscles are one of the biggest places glucose can go after eating. When those muscle cells respond well to insulin, they act like open platforms. When they respond poorly, glucose circles the station with nowhere to exit. Your pancreas may compensate by releasing more insulin. For a while, that can keep blood sugar closer to normal. But it comes at a cost. The system has to shout louder to get the same response. That is the hidden stress. This is also why belly fat matters. Visceral fat, the deeper fat around the organs, is not just passive storage. Research links it with inflammation, fatty acid release, liver insulin resistance, and worse glucose control. It is like having construction crews blocking the station while the crowd is trying to move. The platform is not just full. The signaling system is disrupted. Mechanism 5. The order of the meal changes the spike. Here is the counterintuitive part. Sometimes the same meal can behave differently depending on the order you eat it. In a diabetes care study, researchers found that food order affected post-meal glucose and insulin in people with type 2 diabetes. When carbohydrates came after other meal components, the glucose response changed. We have to be careful here. That does not prove one exact rule for every person. But it does reveal a powerful principle. Your stomach is not a blender with no sequence. It is a controlled entry point. If you eat fast carbohydrates first, they may enter digestion with less resistance. If you begin with protein, vegetables, or fat-containing foods, you may slow the arrival of glucose. Back to the train station, it is like opening a side corridor before the main crowd arrives. The passengers still come in, but the flow is more controlled. That is why what matters, but how also matters. A healthy meal eaten in a rush can act differently from the same meal eaten slowly, with the fiber and protein first, and the starch last. Small change. Big signal. Mechanism 6. Timing and sleep change the same food. Most people think blood sugar is only about food. It is not. It is also about the body receiving that food. Your metabolism runs on a clock. Circadian research shows that glucose regulation, insulin sensitivity, lipids, and energy metabolism are tied to daily rhythms. That means the same meal may not land the same way in the morning, afternoon, and late at night. At night, the station is not fully staffed. The gates may respond more slowly. The liver may handle glucose differently. Digestion may be less aligned with your active phase. So a healthy late meal can create a stronger response than expected, not because the food changed, but because the system receiving it changed. Sleep adds another layer. Studies on sleep restriction and insulin sensitivity suggest that poor sleep can worsen the way the body handles glucose and insulin after eating. You have probably felt this. After a short night, cravings get louder, energy gets unstable, and the same breakfast may feel like it hits differently. That is not weakness. That is physiology under stress. Mechanism 7. The fix is carb context, not carb fear. The worst takeaway would be, never eat fruit, oats, rice, or bread. That is too simplistic. Carbohydrates are not one thing. Your response depends on structure, portion, fiber, protein, fat, timing, sleep, activity, and insulin sensitivity. So the smarter question is not, is this food healthy? The smarter question is, how will this food arrive? Will it arrive whole or liquid? Alone or with protein? Refined or fiber-rich? First in the meal or after vegetables and protein? At midnight after poor sleep, or earlier when your body is better prepared to handle it. This is the power shift. You stop judging meals by their health halo and start seeing the mechanism underneath. A smoothie is not the same as whole fruit. A giant bowl of clean starch is not the same as a balanced plate. A late-night healthy snack is not the same biological signal as an earlier meal. And a normal meal inside an insulin-resistant body may create an abnormal response. If you have diabetes, take glucose-lowering medication, are pregnant, have a history of eating disorders, or experience fainting, confusion, severe thirst, or very high glucose readings, do not experiment with fasting or major diet changes on your own. Work with a qualified clinician. For everyone else, the lesson is not fear. It is flow. Your body is not betraying you when blood sugar spikes after a healthy meal. It is showing you that food quality is only one part of the system. The real question is whether glucose enters like a calm line of passengers or a crowd surge through the doors. Once you understand the station, the meal looks different. You are not just eating healthy. You are managing the traffic.